If you ride on the east side of town, from the north to the south, and look at the street signs, the lighting, the housing, the paving, anybody would know that we have a problem here in the city of Adel.
I feel like that they have taken 3 years of our life.
This isn't about ignorance and just the city going, oh, we're making all these jobs. It becomes a form of violence.
One of the biggest challenges and barriers to what we're trying to do and to the community getting their voices heard has been really the conflicts of interest that we have within our very city government.
Would you please quit calling me?
No matter where I live, I'm important because I love me. I love me.
You can't make this stuff up. This is crazy. The Dale Cook Lumber Yard, Advanced Cylinder and Tank, the Bitcoin mining operation, and then you're going to put a wood pellet plant. Clean air and water is a human right. That's an issue. Who can make them do what they're supposed to do? Who can make them while the people are being poisoned in plain sight? Who can make them while they open up the doors of our city to a polluting industry? Who can make them? This is atrocious. This is ridiculous.
Somebody may say, well, Yolanda, you know you have the right to move. Yes, I do, but I also have a right to stay where I stay and be safe at my residence.
My doctor thinks it's something going on from the chemical place that's messing with my kidneys, that I'm on dialysis now.
Why there's not anything being done is because guess what? Minorities living in the area.
If there's something I can do to help, I'm doing just that. Well, this is my old elementary school. This was Adel Elementary way back in the day. And I went to school here. And this was the gym. I remember there was a slide here that I chipped my tooth on because, you know, you weren't supposed to be sliding down in rows with 3 or 4 people, and we did, and I chipped my tooth that day. But this has lots of memories here. So I went all the way through the Cook County school system. I played sports. I was an active part of the school community, from organizations to, you know, student council in my high school years, to playing in the band. I was band captain. You know, as far back as I can think, I was always about equality, making sure people got their fair shake, you know, making sure nobody was trampled on, you know. I was student council president, and I was very vocal in, you know, pushing forth the concerns of the students, but just me as an individual, I was like, no, that shouldn't be that way, and I would question things. But I guess I wouldn't consider myself an activist until the past couple of years. So I'd probably say I picked up my first sign about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Like Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so I believe in that. So if you don't fight on your territory, what happens when the problem comes to your town? Then it's too late. You need to fight with those who are fighting now, because when you fight for them, you fight for yourself too. Come on out. Out here at the Old Goodies parking lot on 1st Street at the corner of 1st and 41. So we just really got started. We'll be out here till dark, till 7:30 or 8, so come on out, get your vaccine. That's how we're gonna stop the spread. We're below vaccination rates here in Adel, Georgia. In order to stop the spread of COVID, we need to get vaccinated. And yeah, and keep wearing the mask. When you come out here, yes, I'll be wearing my mask. June 12th was the first time we convened for a meeting. At that time, we were not the concerned. We were concerned citizens, but we weren't officially the organization of the concerned citizens of Cook County. And what it was is that I was wanting to bring some key community members and leaders together to talk about what the issues and concerns were in Adel, in Cook County. And it's amazing when you have a conversation. It's powerful when you get people together to talk. As we began to talk, we found that there was a wood pellet plant coming to Adel. One of our members said, hey, did you know we got a wood pellet plant coming? It's going to provide many jobs. And I was like, stop sign, put on the brakes. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And so I began to reach out to some of my environmental friends here in Valdosta. And that's how I eventually connected with Vicki Weeks.
Burning wood pellets, by the time they are burned, so at the smokestack, they produce 40 to 50% more CO2 than does coal. which everybody thinks of as the dirtiest fuel. Pellets are actually dirtier. We're working to save forests from being cut down, made into pellets and shipped across the Atlantic to Great Britain and Europe to be used in pellets for their energy production.
There are multiple stages in the production that produce specific chemicals. We're talking about particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, methanol, acrolein. And each one of those chemicals or types of chemicals are linked through extensive medical research into widespread medical problems.
The particulate matter in the air coats cars. That same particulate matter is being breathed in.
They're so small that they actually go into your systemic blood system. And from there, they spread out throughout your entire body. So exposure causes a body-wide systemic inflammation that can lead to heart disease, COPD, preterm birth, low birth weight, all different forms of cancer. You will get sicker than you would be if the plant wasn't there.
Adel is downwind from the pellet plant, so it's going to blow onto the city, and it's going to blow first on your most vulnerable part of the community, because we are an environmental justice area, which means we have a high level of people of color, or either individuals who are in high poverty.
The political power and the notification of these plants and the need for economic development in these areas all combine to allow these plants to be permitted. The typical pattern tends to repeat.
The city council was holding meetings.
We petitioned, called them, we emailed them, please vote no on the annexation because this property was not even in the city limits of Adel.
They were changing it from agricultural to heavy industrial.
That was a problem. Just because it's not in your community, it affects everybody in every city around here.
The city didn't really want to hear it.
So September 8th, 2020, we first went to that meeting.
15 speakers that attended that meeting to speak. They only allowed 3 of the citizens to speak.
And so they went ahead and voted in the way that they did. And nevertheless, we said, we will persist, we will continue to fight because it's not over until it comes.
We were not about to be deterred. We had found out about the application to the Georgia EPD, the Environmental Protection Division.
Georgia doesn't allow for public comment on draft permits for anything but the very largest plants, the ones that are considered major facilities. But you don't know if a facility is going to be a major facility unless you get to look at what the actual permit terms are. The EPA's Office of Inspector General came out with a report. And in that report, they explicitly told EPA that states are legally required to provide for public comment on draft permits for facilities like this. We saw that and thought EPA is going to take action, and they haven't. And it is frequently the case that a company will apply to get a permit to construct a facility before they know for sure that they will build it. If a community really doesn't want a facility there, then it is worth fighting it because it's never a done deal. There are all sorts of reasons why a company might decide not to move forward.
And so right now we wait and we continue to push and fight and make sure we make our citizens aware of the fact that the pellet plant is coming and how that's going to impact their lives. There's no benefit to the wood pellet plants and bring a few jobs and then those subsidies will stop and we'll have another abandoned site like Del Cook.
I was born on what we call back then Cherry Street. I have lived my whole life here. And we lived in front of Del Cook in what we call the number 2 mill, where the logs were stacked right there at the gate. Del Cook was actually a lumber company. Logs came in and they did 2 befores, 1 befores. My mom worked there, my dad worked there. Well, nearly my whole family worked there. The smell of the tar and the chemicals, along with the rats and cockroaches and all that came from that plant. A lot of the poison's still there. And along that street, every house or every other house was diagnosed with cancer. My mom had 3 cancers. She recently passed a year ago. My oldest sister had cancer, and then my brother passed with cancer. House on the corner, one there, the one on the back that's facing Pine Street, one there. Next door to that, we had one. Then the next one had one. Next one had one. Then the projects had about maybe 15 total diagnosed throughout the years. My aunt next door had cancer. Her son that stayed next there, they had cancer. Just within that whole street, along with the housing authority, 75 to 80%, if not more, had cancer back then. It's the after effect that the chemicals were still there. And the reason I know that is because I had inquired about us building some houses, affordable housing, out there on that property, and I was informed at that time that we could not do so because of the chemicals that were still on the ground.
There was a soil excavation that was done to do a partial cleanup of that area. A full cleanup has not been done. The impact of that location in Del Cook being just abandoned, just left directly in the middle of yet that same community, that same predominantly African American community. There's a housing project that sits right beside it and residential areas on other sides, potentially poisoning the water, poisoning the people. The last thing I heard from the EPA, because I've been in constant contact with them, communication, is that they said that, oh, this is the way it is right now. Another industry could come here. And we're like, no, another industry cannot come here, not like that. What the community would want is that if someone came in, fully cleaned it up to a level in which it could be humanly occupied, we need affordable housing, things like that. If it could be used in such a manner for use to improve and build a community, that community of high poverty, that community of a high number of people of color, then great. But if you're coming to bring another polluter to our community, put another industry there that's gonna kill us and not build us, that's a problem.
You don't have to take my word. Ride and look for yourself. I don't even have to tell you who's on what side. You'll be able to tell that for yourself. I'm hoping and praying that we get some leadership that are concerned about the city as a whole and not about one part or one group. That is my prayer, that we all come together for the betterment of the city of Adel. Not that, we try to knock each other's head off. That's not my concern there. My concern is for the people.
I've been on the council for 22 years. I'm gonna be honest with you, you got poor people that are living there and they really don't know anything, and I think it's our job to educate them about what's going on. We got a nearby housing project that's right there, close to Dale Cook, and that sort of bothers me. As a matter of fact, I traveled through there yesterday and seen a kid playing out there, and you know, it really made me think, is there gonna be anything out there at Dale Cook that's going to harm him? Why there's not anything being done is because, guess what? Minorities living in the area. It wouldn't have lasted. It wouldn't be there now. It was on this side of town. But it's here because you got all your minorities living predominantly in my district. That's why I think there's nothing that's been done. And guess what? The same thing I'm telling you, I'll tell the mayor these exact words, and I have said these same things over the years. That's why nothing's being done.
My husband, Councilman Page, has been the voice for the District 1, Post 1, and Post 2. We do have two councilmen. One is my husband, and another one is Vivian Sharp, which is my sister. And in speaking with her, she had no concerns in reference to Dale Cook or the cleanup.
Everybody's going to have a different opinion. As far as I know, some of the issues that they have been corrected. Has anyone else agreed to talk to you?
It seems weird that all these elected officials don't really want to talk on, in the documentary. And
Oh, okay. Now we're getting to it. It seems weird that none of them want to talk. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be available. No matter where I live, I'm important because I love me. I love me, and I don't feel like you need to keep calling me.
Would you please quit calling me? Would you please quit calling me?
You have reached the voicemail box of. You have reached the voicemail box of.
Is there a formal way to complain to the council? We've heard that there's not actually an official way you can make a complaint.
No, there's not a formal complaint process. That is something that we have actually requested during a meeting, during an actual city council meeting, which can be found in minutes, and no follow-up has been provided to us. Nobody has reached out to us. I actually did an open records request for any complaints that the city might have based on, like for advanced cylinder and tank, and they said there were no records. They say they don't record them. Advanced cylinder and tank has been in the community probably for over 10 years now. They take old propane tanks from wherever. They will refinish them by sandblasting them, shot blasting them, whatever, and repainting them. They're located on Railroad Avenue along the railroad track, but adjacent to and beside, directly in the middle of a residential area. And that's a problem. And you have citizens house by house sitting alongside and adjacent to this property, smelling that smell day in and day out. You really don't know how sick it's making the community.
When I moved in, I was like, well, what's that smell? I thought it was like just something. I knew it was something in the air. I didn't know it was the propane until a good while later. I know you hear my baby in the background, but I hardly ever let her come outside to play on her toys and stuff because the smell is so intense. And I also have a 13-year-old, and she has asthma, and she has 2 pumps that she have to keep on her at all times. It got so bad that she had to go see a specialist down in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know if that was it, but it could, I don't know. But when we got here, it got worse. My kitchen is toward the back. Can you imagine cooking and you smell that stuff over your food? That has happened here plenty of times. Somebody may say, well, Yolanda, you know you have the right to move. Yes, I do, but I also have a right to stay where I stay and be safe at my residence. Those jobs can come and go. My children's life are important to me. Mine too, but my children's life and safety is what's important to me.
Some days I can't even come sit on my porch because of the smell so bad. And because my house is old and it leaks through the house, that I now have migraines all the time. My doctor thinks it's something going on from the chemical place that's messing with my kidneys, that I'm on dialysis now. Because I had complained when they first got here. And they said they was going to leave in November of that year. And they never left. But they keep saying it's not hazardous, but it is. Over time, like maybe a year you being there or 6 months or something, it might have wasn't, but 10 years, it's hazardous.
Never had a complaint. We've never had any violation from EPA, EPD, DOT, PHMSA, DOT, cylinder. There is no propane on this property other than what's sitting on those two trucks right there and what's hooked up to that flare stack. There's no propane here. So we do that every day so that no propane is stored here. And that is a dust collection system. It is a regulated dust collector. It is monitored. It has filters in it. As the filters get full, it will begin to create a plume. We change the filters. So if you saw a plume, it probably means we're due for a filter change. There's a lot of clay here. We have two four-wheel drive forklifts, large forklifts, very large forklifts, 26,000 pound forklifts that run here every day, every day, every day.
So you're telling me that the orange tint on this building...
I'm not telling you that. I don't know that. I don't know about any orange tint. I don't know what you're talking about. What I can tell you is there's a lot of dust. We're probably one of the most regulated businesses in the city of Adel because of what we do. We had no complaints before about 3 months ago when I was invited to come to a city council meeting.
So it was in April, we filed a complaint. They didn't send the letter to Advanced Cylinder and Tank until June. So I showed up in the meeting and I brought with me a container that was labeled as ethyl mercaptan. It's a chemical that's considered to be an odorant. And as I began to ask them about what was going on with those issues, I asked them, was it okay if I uncapped it and allowed some of that gas to be released into the area while I discussed it, since they said it was okay for the citizens. And the mayor declared, no, why would I want to open that stinking stuff up in that room? And I said, that's my point exactly. And so, you know, the crowd was in an uproar. They were like, can you believe this, that he's okay with us smelling this stuff over here, but he doesn't want it around him. And so I asked everybody that was in there who was sick and tired of smelling that smell in their community to stand up. And all the citizens stood up that were there to represent who were concerned about that issue. Adel is like the tale of two cities. So we have Advanced Cylinder and Tank directly sitting in a predominant community of color, in an area that has high poverty. And the people have been crying out and nothing has happened. So, but on the other side of the city, if you cross Highway 41, there's no industries over there within the town. There's no stacks, there's no smells, there's none of those things. And that's a concern that when this community, this environmental justice community cries out and brings the letter of the law, brings the issue, I'm having problems breathing, but yet your mayor tells you that those problems are alleged. When the people have been crying out, calling the Georgia EPD since 2012 to complain of the smell and the issues that it caused them, that's disheartening. Why are you not following the ordinances? Why is nothing being done? And then we found out again, a city councilman, their spouse, is the office manager at that location. Then you find out that the owner of the business, their spouse, is related to the assistant city manager. You can't make that stuff up.
Do you think it's a conflict of interest when they're in the council person's in this committee?
Yes, sir, I do. I think it's a conflict of interest. And I've said something about it over the years. I sure have. I can't see one thing that we, as a mayor and council, are doing. Nothing. Because if the council and the mayor were going to do something, this problem would already have been eradicated.
Profits over people. That's a major issue here, and it is a theme that just reeks from all our interactions with the city council, from people trying to voice their concerns and us giving voice to people who are afraid to even come out and say anything because they're afraid of repercussions. It's that small town politics, that, you know, that system that's at work. The council hasn't been kind to concerned citizens. They have shown up, like when Dr. Meredith showed up and asked them about her trees being cut around the block stream area. It was very rude. It was not that you had 1 minute left. It was gavel, 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 and shut down. The problem with block stream being in our community is that, as hot as it is, the servers have to be kept at a certain temperature because it's energy intensive, it's producing heat. So you gotta have it cool. And so those industrial fans are creating all this noise that's disturbing the citizens around them.
We've been living out here now for 28 years and have really enjoyed it. It used to be quiet, peaceful, but since with the advent of block stream coming in, there is no more peace and there is no more quiet.
When they first turned those things on, they were so loud.
I have gone, and I've got it documented, I have gone to the city council meetings 5 times. The first 2 times I recorded the noise level on my cell phone, went up there and played it for them. And you know, they made no comment, no questions.
That particular night that Ron played the noise, the mayor said, that's enough of that. They didn't want to hear it.
We went to the EPA. The EPA, I think in Albany, turfed us to Atlanta. Atlanta EPA said, that's not us, go to Albany. And they're all like, we don't do sound, go to your city. Well, that's who's doing it. This isn't about ignorance and just the city going, oh, we're making all these jobs. It becomes a form of violence against the citizens and the residents out here because they're saying this isn't what we want, this is not fair, this is hurting us. And I think as our world changes, these forms of violence, not only against, I see it directly against the trees, you know, and against the nature, but this is against their own brothers and sisters of humanity.
The county has 3 ordinances on their books, on record, against noise level pollution, they call it. The city of Adel has 10 noise ordinances. We soundproof the whole inside of the house, all the way around, including the bathroom windows. You cannot open the windows no more because this is solid glass on the inside, trying to cut the sound down inside the house.
The only window that I do not have a glass on is my kitchen window, and I refuse to do that. When you walk out to your kitchen, your own kitchen that you have made, that we have paid for, and you have to hear that kind of noise coming in, it makes you want to throw up in the sink.
It's all the secret squirrel stuff. What are they hiding? If it's all in the benefit of the city, it's all in benefit of the people and giving jobs, why are you hiding it? Why is it a big secret? Why can't people see what it costs and where the money's going and what's being planned? I don't understand why anything has to be hidden if it's for the benefit of all. Then we're all going to see that and we're all going to agree to it. The Bitcoin started with the really loud stuff in the last 2 years, I would say. And so you got to remember, in nature, the cycles are long. And so right now, we're supposed to have, one of the things I've noticed is you can hear them, the cicadas, there's supposed to be a big boom, and they're pretty quiet. In August, September, it's deafening.
And when I have to get in my car and leave, I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. You know, it's just been terrible and nobody will listen. I feel like that they have taken 3 years of our life. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to leave. I'm not planning on leaving Cook County. If I could, I would.
Adel uses only about 24 megawatts of energy. Blockstream uses about 270 megawatts. And actually with them adding BlockFi, they could use up to 300 megawatts. That's over 10 times the city of Adel. Adel had partnered with 6 other MEAGs, municipal electrical groups, because we didn't have enough power, enough excess energy. So we're getting their excess energy to power that one location. Cities are making about $37,000 per month off of them.
From Blockstream?
Yeah, they're making about $37,000 a month. The noise pollution produced by Blockstream has had a major negative impact on the citizens that live most close to it, hearing that 24/7, all day, every day. And they've gone to the city council meetings. They've expressed their concerns. There are other citizens that live beside them, that are neighboring to them, who've also complained and gone with them and stood with us when we filed a complaint, and never getting any answers, despite the negative impact to the community members.
We don't know whether the RBG plant will be constructed. It is a different company than the other company that is now proposing to construct a new biomass plant.
Adel is not the ideal place that you would want one wood pellet plant. And the second plant, it would just be disastrous.
We're gonna keep fighting until we can be heard. This is my home.
I'm here forever. I'm gonna die here. I was born and raised around Adel, and Adel is a good city. It's a city that I love.
But if we don't get together and try to do something, it's not gonna work. You're a citizen, you voted them in office. If you're worried about that, the next time they come up for election, vote them out.
People who've been elected to positions where they are now responsible for the community. This isn't about your own self-interest and your greed, it's about doing what's best for the whole community.
I feel as if it's a residential area, businesses should not be in it, not that type of business.
I would say more or less poverty pimping, because people are already trying to figure out how to get through the day. So they're not looking at, well, this facility is here, this air pollution is here, this is going on. They're looking at, how can I feed my child? How can I get through the day? How can I deal with the everyday hustle and bustle of what I already have to deal with?
It's the fact that we know that there's a victory that can show up at the end. That's what keeps me going. That's what pushes me, that you know what? That we can breathe clean air, that we can breathe clean water, that along the way people are gonna learn what their rights are, that we're sounding the alarm. It's almost like being like a Paul Revere, like the British are coming, but it's like the pollution is coming, the pollution is coming. If something doesn't smell right, it's not right. You have a right to say something. And this is who you say it to. The community will be better informed, they will be educated, they will be empowered to act beyond this, because this is not just a one-shot thing. Other industries will come, they will try to come. But knowing what entities control those people coming in, and knowing what the recourse is and what actions and processes have to take place, it will create a better environment, and not just with me being present, but beyond me and the concerned citizens of Cook County, that youth and other people will be able to carry it on, and it will be a sustainable practice of a community being educated, informed, and ready to act to protect their air and their water, their community.